Barnum2. A group of townsmen formed a posse and followed the Anagnams for a while, but their heart wasn't really in it because honestly they were too afraid to confront the giant-like men. So they left off pursuit, saying, "There's nothing we can do. She's gone." Meanwhile, school was canceled. They didn't have another educated person to take over the classes. It was turning on early spring, and it was a special year because the king's son was 8 years old. Barnum was 6, but he remembered his teacher telling him about how the government works and how during the Ascension the king's son goes to school but never makes it, and another child is picked up and taken to school, but shh, this isn't the way it really is. And that young boys from far and wide flock to the capital city and dress in rags, hoping to become the next king. Well, he starts thinking, I gotta make it to capital. I'm 6, I could be mistaken for an 8-year-old. I'm big for my age. He wasn't, actually, he was small for his age. But he went home and he told his parents of his intentions, and they said absolutely not. And they started keeping an extra close watch on him because they knew that he might try to make a run for it and do exactly what he said. He was tenacious enough to do something like that. So he kept on looking at, his opportunities and trying to figure out how he was going to get to capital. When Sopiopo showed up in town, actually, he could feel her presence like a day before she showed up. And he ran about a mile away from town and climbed a big tree on top of a hill and watched and watched and watched until he saw her mule string come around the mountain, and he sang and he blew a whistle as loud as he could, and all the other children came and joined him, and they ran up to Sopiopo, who was a thin, old, dark-skinned woman with gray, curly hair, and a long train of mules behind her that had big packs on them. And the kids clamored around her mule train, and she got off. She led with a horse, but she had mules behind her. She got off her horse and opened up a pack and handed out whistles and candy and string toys and wood toys and all kinds of little things for the kids. Pretty buttons. So, well, anyways, it was like Christmas when Sopiopo showed up. They followed her to town, and the first place she went, of course, was the Barnum family store. Everybody called the Barnum last name, but our Barnum is actually Peter Barnum, 6-year-old. So anyways, she shows up and she begins trading with old man Barnum, and she stays overnight and in the stables with her mules and stuff. And the next morning she gets up and leaves, and young Barnum's kept in his room all day, and they keep a close eye on him until she's gone, because they think that he might try to follow Sopiopo out of town, and because she goes between capital and then the far reaches, and she's on her way back to capital. So anyways, he that night, after she had traveled for a whole day, he slips out of his window, saddles his pony, takes a pack of food and stuff with him, and goes off riding across the plains, following the trading route, trying to catch up with Sopiopo because she'll be camping overnight. And he rides for hours. He rides until maybe midnight, and he starts hearing oh from one side and then from the other, and pretty soon he hears more of them from one side, so he starts veering this way, and they're getting closer, and so he starts riding faster, and And pretty soon his pony's just quivering and running as fast as the little pony's legs could carry him. And the wolves are like herding him to the left. And pretty soon he sees a flicker of light in the distance. And his pony just heads straight for it, and the wolves are right behind him. And his pony just about skids into Sopiopo's camp. It is her. The wolves are the donkeys. The mules are all the way around her campfire, and she's chewing on a stick of jerky and sitting on one of her saddles, and it's a fairly pleasant night, and so she didn't bother pitching a tent or anything. And he's like sweating and shaking, and his pony's shaking, and he's like, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna protect yourself from the wolves? And she's like, protect myself from the wolves? Why? She's just unconcerned. Pretty soon, a huge wolf that's almost the size of one of her mules, larger than Barnum's pony, quietly walks into camp and sits down with its feet crossed. And Sopiopo and the wolf sit silently staring at each other for a very long time. Actually, they were talking. I'll leave it here.